Chapter 3. When the signal misfires. Let this land in a quiet part of the day, or night, maybe while the sun folds down behind the trees, or as the first breath of moonlight touches the skin. Let it drift into your ears like the soft swirl of water in a warm bath. This isn't a lesson, it's a remembering. There's something curious about the way we use words. We toss them into the air like petals, hoping they land gently, hoping they bloom where we cannot always reach. But language, by its nature, is clumsy. It stumbles over emotion. It forgets tone. It's like sending a kiss in an envelope and wondering why it didn't quite feel the same on the other side. Most of the things that break between people don't begin with betrayal. They begin with a missed beat, a word not meant the way it was heard, a glance that arrived 2 seconds too late, and something inside quietly says, "I'm not safe here." It happens like that. Not in a loud crash, but in a tiny misfire. The signal gets fuzzy. The frequency shifts. And then, without realizing it, two people begin living in separate versions of the same moment. Each one assuming they understand what just happened. Each one slightly off. That moment might pass, or it might deepen. It might weave itself into a pattern. You start hearing things that weren't said, feeling things that weren't meant. Suddenly you're walking through a room you've known forever, but everything feels just a little unfamiliar. The temperature has changed, but no one turned the dial. It's not that someone stopped caring, it's that they stopped checking. They started assuming. And so did you. Communication is not just about speaking clearly, it's about hearing with openness. It's about listening not just to words, but to the energy beneath them. Imagine trying to dance with someone who hears a different rhythm. Even if the steps are the same, something feels off. You don't always know why, but your body does. The body always knows. When we misunderstand someone, what we're often doing is translating their words through our past, through old wounds, through memories of what those same words meant once before. And in doing that, we aren't really hearing them. We're hearing echoes, shadows, glimpses of a story that may have nothing to do with the present moment. This is how the heart gets confused. It's not wrong. It's just responding to a signal it thinks it recognizes. Sometimes misunderstanding isn't about language at all. It's about presence, or the lack of it. Someone says, "I'm fine," but what you feel is distance. A message is read, but not answered. A touch lingers too short, or not at all. These are the places where connection begins to drift. Not because of what happened, but because of what wasn't clarified. And what wasn't clarified begins to take on a life of its own. The mind is a brilliant storyteller. Given a gap, it will fill it. Given silence, it will make noise. So we begin writing scripts in our heads. Entire movies of what we believe they meant, what they must be feeling, what their silence implies. And here's the catch. We act on those scripts as if they are real, but they're not real. They're interpretations. The truth might be something entirely softer. It might be that someone was tired, distracted, hurt themselves, or simply human. We expect our friends, our partners, our co-creators to read us perfectly, to sense when something is off, to intuit what we meant, even when we didn't say it well. But no one can be your mirror unless you let them see you, fully, clearly, without distortion. In relationships of all kinds, the deepest intimacy is not physical. It's attentiveness. It's the quality of being present. And presence, when it is true, is undeniably sensual. It awakens something. It says, "I'm here. I feel you. I'm not rushing to reply. I'm resting in the space between your words." That is rare and beautiful. And sometimes all it takes to keep a misunderstanding from taking root. In business, the same thing applies. A misread email, a misheard tone in a meeting, a lack of response at the wrong time. These things don't just affect projects. They alter trust. We begin to feel unseen, unheard, undervalued. To prevent this kind of drift, you must learn to pause. Not every comment needs an answer. Not every silence means rejection. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can say is, I noticed I started telling myself a story when you said that. Can we clear the space together? You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be available to the moment. That's where the real clarity lies. Not in rehearsed speeches or perfectly chosen words, but in the courage to stay connected while things are still uncertain. There is nothing more sacred than choosing to slow down, to turn towards someone instead of away, to say, before I close the doors in my heart, I'd rather knock on yours. Because the truth is, most relationships don't die from conflict. They dissolve in confusion. They unravel from silence. So let this be a reminder. You are not a machine. You are a field of sensation and story. And the ones closest to you are not mind readers. They are mirrors. They reflect not just who you are, but how safe they feel to be who they are around you. When the signal misfires, all it takes to restore the channel is willingness. Willingness to say, tell me again, I may not have heard you fully. Willingness to respond with presence instead of protection. Willingness to remember that most of the time, people aren't trying to hurt you. They're just trying not to hurt themselves. And sometimes that alone can explain everything. Let that land. Let it dissolve where it needs to. Let it soften the sharp places. And when you speak again, speak not just with words, but with the space behind them. That's where the real truth lies. And that's where it waits for you.